So let's look at this now. I'm going to make a shape here. I'm going to fill it with a solid. Everybody can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm going to option drag this and make a copy, okay? I'm going to make it a different color just for the hell of it. Now I'm going to put it on top of each other. And up here in your window, because all our palettes live under windows, and this is a palette. Window, I'm going to go to Pathfinder. And we're only going to concern ourselves with a handful of these, okay? You know, and then we'll talk about the other ones later. If I take both these shapes, if you look at these, they're telling you from the shape what they do. Okay, we're only going to concern ourselves with these and maybe this one for now. If I take this, you can see this. This is a unify filter. So you can see it combines the two shapes together. So I'm going to go click. Now they're one shape. That's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, when I go to this one, if you notice the top one punches out the bottom. So whatever's on top will punch the bottom. So now I'm going to go hit this one. And it does that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to take this one and it's going to save the overlap. Okay. And then this one's going to do the opposite. It's going to get rid of the overlap. Okay. And then this one, let's make a more complex selection here. And let's do some, let's just do this. And let's go, let's do this. Now I'm going to take all of these and I'm going to go to this one, which is the divide filter. And it doesn't look like it did anything, but if I take my wide arrow tool, I can select all these individual shapes now. And I can eliminate them or whatever. I can change the color, whatever I want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I could carve out a shape if I want to do that. When you have an object, there's one on top. That's going to matter at certain times. So sometimes you're going to want it somewhat, you know, in the back or something. So you go here under object because we're talking about an object. We're going to go arrange, send to back, and it just will send it to the back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now there's hotkeys for that, which are, you know, shift, command, it's the brackets. And then shift command, left bracket, or shift command, right bracket, right? The up arrow shift, right? I think it's shift. So I'll do it, the hotkey, shift command left bracket, and it puts it behind it. Shift command right bracket brings it up to the front. Does that make sense? Here's something else in relation to shape building that we need to know. If I make a line, and that's live, okay? So now I got this handle, like we've talked about, and I can move it around and all that, okay? And let's make it a line. So there it is, it's a line. I'm going to fatten it up here in my control bar. Here's my stroke thing. I want to make it pretty fat. So now I can go in here and I can tweak this line, you know, just like we've talked about, okay? Sometimes I want to use this to make a shape, or I don't need it as a line. Or like in my case, if I did line work and I didn't want anybody screwing with it, I would take all my line work and unify it. So it's almost impossible to mess with, okay? That would kind of save me from people screwing with my stuff. But if I go here and I select this object or this line, I go up to Object, Path, Outline Stroke, and it will just turn this now into a shape. This is no longer a line, it's just a shape. So now if I go in with my white arrow tool, I can manipulate it like a shape. By the way, if I have a complex curve like this that I want to screw with on the points, I can click here and I can look at it, click off the thing, and then I can select this one, hold shift and select this one. And now they'll work in unison. Okay. Sometimes you got to select multiple points on a shape. Okay. Also, you could do this, which is really handy. I'm going to fatten this up. Well, I don't want to fatten. I'm going to go to my width tool. Oops. Right there. And I could go object, path, outline, stroke. And now I got that shape, and it's just a shape. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, in that same area, let's do this again. Let's make this a shape. So let's go back to our width tool. Now we have that shape. Object, path, outline, stroke. Now it's just a shape. But now I might want to offset that path so it's exact same path, only bigger. Okay. So I'm going to go to the exact same place. Object, path, offset path. And you can see it offset it. Okay. Based on this, I set it to 10 points. So let's go 5 points. And now if I go here, you can see there's two shapes in here. See that? One's the original. And let's change the other one. Let's change the color. I want to lock this, Control 2. Oops. You can see that shape, that blue shape is the offset path behind it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you want to mirror a shape exactly. I mean, sometimes you just want to use it and go bigger and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you want to mirror it exactly, and it's hard to get it to do that by hand. It's easier to do it like this, okay? So those are under object under your path tools right there, okay? Now here's another one. I have to unlock this. I have to go object, unlock all. Now, if I have a bunch of shapes, so I'm going to flip this. Now I'm going to get rid of that line, make this one a different color. See, it's on mine. And let's say that these are a grouped idea, okay? This is all one shape I'm playing with, like that, okay? I don't want to come in here and have to do that and select all of them all the time. So I select all of them. I go up here to Object. Right here, Group. It's just Command Group or Command G. And now when I grab any of these, they will group together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If I want to ungroup them, ungroup. And then it's just Shift Command G, okay? So that'll group them together. Now let's say we have and let's just pull something in here. Just so I have a shape. Now, this is a vector shape, but who cares? And I want to use this shape as a clipping mask. All I have to do is select, but I have to make sure that this clipping mask shape is on top. So that might mean that I have to go to my object, arrange, bring to front, which it is, it's already on front. Now I just select both, back to object. Oops. And way down here is clipping mask, and I go make or Command 7. And it makes a clipping mask going under. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
By the way, if I double click the image inside, it goes into an edit area where I can move this around without screwing with the mask. And then I can just double click on the pasteboard here, and I'm out. And now they're back locked together again. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a clipping mask. If I want to undo it, object, go back down to clipping mask, release. Now, let's look at another thing with this. If I make multiple shapes, let's give these a color just so we can see them. And I put this behind them. And I go, I want these to be my clipping mask. And I go, make clipping mask. It doesn't know which one to use. So let's do it again. Object, clipping mask, make. So it picked one. It probably picked the last one I made because that's going to be the highest on top. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't know how to do that, but I might want to do that sometime. So now I'm going to take these 3 images, go right by my clipping mask and go down one extra one and go compound path and say make. And you'll see what this does. Okay, so now I grab this, or I grab both. Object, clipping mask, make. And now they're all sort of one object as far as Illustrator is concerned. Does that make sense? Everybody get that?
That was cool.
Could you run through that one more time?
3 objects. I want to make them one clipping mask or basically one shape, sort of, but they're not connected. I just select all 3, object, compound path, make, and that's it.
Okay.
Then when I do my clipping mask, Command 7 does that, which is really helpful. Even though this guy doesn't use Illustrator, I actually think he might be now, but as far as I know, he wasn't using Illustrator. Real super simple images, yes?
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing with this, it's very well done, okay? It doesn't have to be complex. This guy's built an empire off this, okay? Like literally. Real simple shapes. And we're going to use one of these today for this exercise. But really well-designed shapes, okay? Very strong point of view. And this little shape on her behind right there, that looks like it could just be the line tool with the width tool. That's it, because it's thin and thick on either end. Here's the one we're going to use. We're only going to use part of it. So I'm just going to drag this into my document. Now you could also go File, Place, and then go find it and double click it and it'll place it. So on and so forth. But I'm just going to go this way. There it is. Now, just like the first one we did, I'm going to take this. I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to take this. I'm going to put one maybe here so I can use it for color reference. And then, but then I'm going to take this, put on another layer. This one, I'm going to double click, maybe lower it, dim images to, let's try that. That's probably. And I'm going to lock it right there. Boom. Okay, now I'm going to make another layer. I'm going to go color reference. I'm going to drop this one in here at 100%. So I have a color reference. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this all just using basically our Pathfinder tools. Starting off with the big shape right here. So I'm going to do it this way. Yeah, I'm going to do it this way. Make sure you don't do hard points. There's a little bit of a curve right there. A little bit of a curve right there. And then in the hair, I don't care. It's going to get covered up. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to hold my shift to constrain it and pull this over. And I'm going to go up here to my color reference. I'm going to move that color reference. I'm on the color reference. I don't want to be on that. So I'm going to take that off. Hang on. That's color reference. I want to drop this down a little bit. Put it over here. Lock that. Put this here, and I'm going to put working. Drop this back in. Make sure it's lined up. I want this lined up with the face over here. Hold shift, that'll constrain it, hold it right over here. Go over here, grab my eyedropper, and that's my first shape. I think I'm going to go to this ear right away. Let's see if I can. Now, when I make a shape like that, I can hold spacebar and move it around. I want to put it back over here. I don't want line, or I don't want fill. I just want these all to be lined. I'm going to make this black, but now it doesn't matter. I'm going to tilt this. So I'm going to go right here, and you can see I get that little, when I go over that, any of these points, I can tilt it like that. Then I want to pull this over. Shift. Fill it with the same color. Oops. Eyedropper tool, boom. Now let's go, let's do the hair. And again, we got this stupid line thing. There we go. Now I'm just going to go right over this ear. It doesn't matter. I'm going to come down here. Now I'm going to be making sloppy selections and things because I'm going to try and do this quick. So make sure yours is better. You can say I got some kinky stuff in there that I don't like, and I'll fix it in a minute. Got a couple kinks in here. I'm going to turn this layer off for a second and look at my shape. Got a kink right there, all smooth. Right here, they're all smooth. You know, and I go through and make sure all my shapes are nice and good. Turn this back on. Back, let's move it. Take this, hold shift. Eyedropper. Boom. You see where we're going here? I want to put this ear in front of this shape. That's better. A little bit. And I'll have to tweak that a little bit later. Oops. But it's fine. That all make sense so far, you guys?
Yeah.
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 Now we're going to start reusing shapes to make shapes, okay? So let's do that. So now I'm going to go here. Let's go. Darn it, keeps going back. Keeps defaulting to this fill. Just super annoying. Now I'm gonna go here. Don't have to worry about the hair up here because that's not, you're not gonna see it. I don't really have to worry too much about this hard point right here because I'm gonna change that, or do something with that later. Here. And now look, I don't have to worry about going outside this line. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go right here and get my shadow value. Put this on front. And now what I'm gonna do, hopefully I get that about the right space. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna make another copy of it. I'm just gonna option drag this. I want to go right here to my where it holds the overlap. Get rid of this now. Pull this over. Now I got my shadow value. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to think differently when you're in Photoshop. It's a different trip, okay? You're shape building. Sometimes you're doing linear, but a lot of times you're shape building. Now, let's fill that. And then here I could just make this shape. Put it back to a line, get up close to it. And maybe just use my width tool, maybe. And let's see if I can go up here and do this. Right here under stroke, I'm going to go, here's my endpoints. So I want the endpoint to be round in this case. So I'm going to hit this one. Now round it off my endpoints in a nice way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to try and go a little fatter here. So now I'm going to go grab both of these. I'm going to group them. Control or Command Group G. I'm going to go here, if you guys remember, to our right here, our reflect tool. I'm going to put an anchor point right between the eyes. It's not going to be perfect, but that's fine. Hold Option. I get 2. And see if this is close enough. And I don't think it is, so I'm going to make a new one. It's a little different. Go back to Width tool. Go up. Sometimes to get your stroke thing, I have to click off of it, go to my black arrow tool, select it, and then go stroke and get this round in. Then I think I can reuse this. I'm going to ungroup this, object, ungroup. I think that's it. I'm going to group all these together. Command G, Control G. And now this is going here. Same drill here. The mouth, I think I can just do this. Width tool. You could also just make the shape if you want, it doesn't matter. Grab my black arrow tool, grab this. Stroke that. This one here. I'm going to make this a shape just because it'll make it easier. Object, path, outline stroke. Now we basically get our head shape. correct?
Yep.
Now I'm just gonna go here, make this shape. I don't have to worry about much here. Because this is just gonna become this shape, or this color. Pull it over. Send it to the back. Oh, there's a line here too. So now let's try this. I'm just gonna grab this shape. And go right here where your eraser is. You also have a scissors tool, and I'm just gonna cut it right there. And like right there. And get rid of this with my white arrow tool. You go here, flip this to just a line. See if I can get it the same color. Flip it back to the line again. There. And tell it to go to the front. And I would finesse that. There's a little bit of thin thick to it. I would finesse it. I'm just not going to do it. Now here's the easy part. Boom. 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 Actually, let's do it like this. Let's go. Hang on. I want to flip this again. It screws me in. Oops. Got to go back to that line, grab it, go back here. Fill it with this color. I'm going to go here. I'm going to make one line right there. Again, go to my width tool. Now here, this should work. I'm going to go to my reflect tool. Put the anchor point right here. Option. There's my other one. There it is. Let's go here. Not bad. And then let's do this. This is kind of interesting here. I go boom. So, that's good. Screwed up that build. Hang on. I want to keep this clean. This is just a simple shape. Actually, let's do, I can't do it. Put this back to a line. I'm gonna go to my whip tool again and just maybe finesse it a little bit here. That's reflect tool again. Set an anchor point. Let's tweak this in just a little. Making sense so far?
Yes.
So far,
Yes.
so good.
Hmm?
Yep.
Yeah, I think we got one more thing. And I'll show you a couple other things. One other thing. Go under here. I don't care about that because I don't need it. Turn this off for a second. You know, and I can find all the spots. I got a little kink or whatever and solve them. So let's solve them. Eyedropper. Things aren't terrible. Turn this back on. Back to my reflect tool. Option. Put an anchor point. Option. Then I go, oh, I need this to be under the collar or under his sleeve. So I'm just going to select this and this anchor point. Move them up. There we go. Does that all make sense?
Yep.
You can see why this is such a fast tool, right?